Greetings, my excellent friend. Welcome to the Heavy Metal History Report.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so my guest for this episode of the podcast is Mike, the singer from Inter Arma. Mike, thank you for doing this.
Oh, it's no problem.
Well, man, the thing I like to start out with here to get the conversation rolling is I always like to know people's influences. You know, what were those first bands and first records that kind of got you into heavy metal, you know, the more extreme side of things? Like, what were the things you remember hearing that kind of got you into it?
Definitely the biggest one was Sepultura. Arise in particular. I remember hearing Arise, just kind of losing my mind. Emperors and the Night Side Eclipse was definitely one that really got me into stuff. Let me think. Carcasses and Necroticism I got that on CD at a flea market just randomly because I thought the name was cool. Yeah,
those are some definitely killer records right there, especially like kind of start off and like, you know, get you into the heavier side of things.
Yeah, I had heard things that were considered heavier before that, you know, like I heard Metallica and I had heard Guns N' Roses and stuff like that, but those are the ones that kind of brought me into the extreme metal world there, I guess.
Yeah, it always seems like too, a lot of people, you know, when they first start out, they do start off on like the softer side of things, and then like it's so quick how you just get to the most extreme end of it, you know, with like death metal, black metal, and how far you go and how quick it just gets there if you're just really, really into heavy metal.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's see.
Definitely.
So when you were, I guess, growing up, you were still around like CDs, and the internet really wasn't super prevalent either.
Yeah. I didn't have the internet till later. So I was in late high school, I think, when my family finally got the internet. So finding music for me was different, you know, than a lot of people now or younger people are used to, anyways.
Yeah.
The catalogs, the Relapse catalogs and stuff like that. I remember just kind of poring over them and, you know, just looking at stuff. And the Relapse catalog in particular, whoever wrote the descriptions made it just seem like you needed to have everything. And I grew up around CDs and things like that, and just kind of started working when I was young. And so I just kind of, you know, I lived out in the middle of nowhere. I didn't have a vehicle or anything like that, so I just kind of spend money on music.
Yeah, I vaguely remember some catalogs myself when I was growing up, but I definitely was really there for like CDs. That was like the main thing. And man, every time I got allowance, like I would just go burn through and just look at the covers. Like if a cover was interesting, that's usually how or why I would buy a record. Or even then getting compilation albums. I know a lot of labels used to do that too. And, you know, you'd find all these bands on there and you'd be like, oh shit, I should probably get that record next time I go, because this song fucking rules.
Definitely.
That was a good way to find music back then. But now it's just like everything's so accessible. You know, nobody wants to pay for anything. And it's just like, you know, I'm surprised too that like, you know, you guys put out CDs every like 3 or 4 years pretty much, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, it's silly to me that a lot of people and like, not necessarily fans or whatever, but a lot of people just like, they don't have the patience to wait that long anymore. And me personally, I'm always just like, well, would you rather have them rush something out within a year to 6 months, or let them take their time and, you know, get it out in 2 or 3 years and have a better end product, you know?
Yeah. I understand that. Yeah.
Do you guys like take time purposefully like to do that, just to make sure like you're really crafting and writing exactly what you want to put out, instead of like worrying about rushing it for, you know, quote unquote album cycle?
Yeah, definitely. We don't rush anything. We don't like to rush. We don't want to put out something that we think is bad or lackluster or, you know, whatever. It's something that's weak.
Mm-hmm.
You know. We leave that up to the listener to decide if they think it's weak or not. but we don't want to rush and put out something that, you know, we as band members feel is just fucking garbage. So
yeah,
we do take our time and things, you know, we tour a lot too, and we definitely are not writing on tour and things like that. So I think it takes some time.
Yeah, I think that's smart, man, because like you have so many other things to worry about while you're touring that trying to write or, you know, make a song is just like, it's got to be even more exhausting.
Yeah. Some bands can do things like that, and I don't know how the hell they do it. And more power to them, honestly. But we definitely can't. You know, a lot of times we get off tour, you know, we don't want to play for a couple weeks or something like that either, you know. So it's like, it's just not the way we operate. And, you know, I think it's better off that way. It kind of cuts the fat, I think, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of layers in your guys' music too, especially with the past 2 records that you guys have done specifically. It's you've every album that you guys have put out, you've managed to grow exponentially better in like style and soundscapes and all these things that you kind of weave together within the band. And I think it shows like your growth as musicians every time you've put out a record. And this new one that's about to come out, especially too, is a whole nother beast compared to the last one. It's fucking insane to hear.
Yeah, we wanted it to be a different beast, and I think it came out that way. So,
so when would you say that you guys started kind of having ideas for this new record to kind of start writing like the rough kind of edges of it?
One of the songs, Sulphur English, I think we've been toying with for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And let me see. The main riff in Citadel's been there for quite a while too. You know, like some of these have been going on for like a couple of years.
Okay, nice.
Some of the riffs have been being thrown around too. Yeah. Yeah, some of them go back a couple of years.
It's pretty crazy.
TJ writes like a bulk of the material, and I know that like he is always constantly just coming up with new riffs. So every once in a while in practice or something like that, you know, even right after Paradise Gallows came down, some of those riffs started kind of showing up. So
do you guys?
So you know, some of the songs don't get finished until way later, but the riffs are kind of being thrown around.
Yeah, so you guys like piece stuff together kind of as it comes and just like do it that way?
It kind of depends. Some things are like that. I know Citadel was actually the song that took the longest to write.
Okay.
Which is hilarious to me and to everyone else in the band too, because it's kind of the most straightforward and simplest one. I know that one kind of went through a lot of different stuff. And then some of it, TJ just kind of has like this map in his head of what he wants to do with it. And it's just kind of all already there. You know, like he just kind of brings it all to the table. We master one part, you know, and then he brings in the other part and this and, you know, and this and that and so forth.
So do you guys kind of let him drive the ship as far as like writing stuff, or do you each kind of bring like little ideas every now and then to kind of like piece stuff together?
Yeah, the guys, the musicians in the band, definitely, you know, put their own spin on things and throw things in here, or, you know, like, oh, maybe we should do it this long, or, you know, maybe we should kind of make this a different transition, or, you know, whatever like that. They definitely do that. So it's definitely democratic. It's just, he's just, you know, he got the bulk of the ideas, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's really cool that, you know, when you start out with like a little piece of a song and, you know, you're slowly morphing it into the whole thing. And, you know, you guys have heard just the full transformation of it, you know, whereas like the listener, they're just getting the final product. You know, they don't know how many times you had to change out a riff or kind of like work in a part or take a part out, you know, the whole like puzzle piece of it. And I always find that aspect of it interesting, you know, when I'm listening to something. That's why I like when bands put out like demos of songs and, you know, like riffs are different or something like that. It's always cool to hear that stuff. And you guys are like always there in it. And I I like hearing about that aspect of it.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say that, like, you know, especially with this new album, you guys have kind of gone away from the more doom aspect of it, and it feels and sounds a lot more like a death metal record this time around, I would say.
Yeah, that's what we've been hearing, and I mean, it was our intention was to make it uglier and nastier.
Oh yeah.
And more extreme and more abrasive. We felt that Paradise Gallows was almost kind of like a pretty record, and it was very colorful. And we kind of wanted to do something different. That was kind of like the only like preordained thing that we had in our mind, like in the beginning when we decided, okay, we need to start writing a new record. We're going to start writing a new record. We just wanted things to be gnarlier, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree with your assessment on that too. It's like a whole different sounding record almost, even a whole different sounding band in some respects because of like the brightness of everything, like the tone, even the guitar tone on that record is so vastly different from what it sounds like now.
Yeah, that was definitely like a decision, like a conscious decision that was made, and like we don't ever want to repeat ourselves. That's something that like we don't want to fall into some trap, you know, and just start repeating ourselves, or you know, having just things like that, like having songs that are very similar to older songs or this or that. You know, we want things to sound different. We want things to sound different from record to record as well. So I know that like one thing that's not key to us is having everything sounding, sounding the same, you know, like it's from the same lineage kind of deal.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I think the fact that you guys kind of made that conscious decision to, you know, because you easily could have just wrote another Paradise Gallows. I mean, that record is amazing, and you know, from what I understand, it did really well for you guys. So you could have did that, but the fact that you didn't, you made that conscious decision to be like, no, we need this to be just a lot fucking nastier. I think is a smart decision, man. I really do.
I mean, it was just how we were feeling too, you know. We just decided we wanted to do this. You know, I don't know. It's just what we're feeling. We listen to a lot of abrasive music. We just wanted it to be more fucked up, basically, you know. So that's the path we took, you know. Some people will dig it, some people won't. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, shit, man. I feel like that's music in general. You're always like riding that double-edged sort of like, well, we're gonna alienate a lot of people that like that last record, but we're also probably gonna make a lot of new fans with this new record, and I think that's a brave choice either way. We don't care too much about alienating people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it just like a lot of personal stuff going on in your guys' lives that you decided to make, you know, just to make it sound angrier, or was it just kind of like what felt right to do?
A combination of everything, really. Just kind of felt right. It's kind of a backlash at certain things. Especially like on the last touring cycle, you know, we would, especially when we were doing our own thing, when we were doing headlining shows, and you know, people, you know, like, I don't want this to sound pretentious, but it always kind of sounds pretentious, and I hate that, but
you're all good.
Whatever. Yeah, we always just get lumped in as that we're just like some one-dimensional sludge doom band.
Huh.
And that really kind of bothers us, especially like in kind of like, you know, we've had definitely like a lot of, you know, people just think, oh, they're just a sludge band, you know, and just here's a sludge band put on the show for you, or, you know, this or that. And we just got really sick of it, you know, and no offense to, you know, to that kind of music at all. I mean, you know, we all kind of, a lot of us kind of came up with that kind of thing. So it's fine. It's just, I don't know. We don't want to be considered that, you know, it's like kind of like, yes, we do have similarities to doom bands and sludge bands and things like that, but we're more than that.
Yeah, I agree.
And, and it's just kind of just like,
you guys
I don't know.
Just really a lot more dense, as far as like the soundscapes that you can make with just the two guitar players, man.
Yeah.
That's kind of unfortunate you guys get pigeonholed like that.
I mean, it is what it is. We're just kind of like, I know that like with this record too, we were just trying to kind of like take a step away.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like we weren't, obviously there's some doomy kind of stuff on, but we were just kind of just like, I don't know, we were trying to alienate ourselves from that world as well, and that's kind of why too, like, we were all huge fans of extreme metal, black metal and death metal, and the influences have always kind of been there. Yeah, but now it's just like, the older we get too, especially some of us, we listen to more and more death and black metal or whatever, just there, it's to us, it's like a totally natural progression, and it'll also, hopefully kind of kill the whole idea that we're just some sludge band or something, But if you want to think that we're just a sludge band, that's cool too, I guess. So. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. It was just some kind of, thing that we have.
Well, I mean, you want more diversity in your shows. I assume that's part of it too. Like, you don't want to always be playing with the same genre of bands, from what it sounds like.
Yeah. The funny thing is that we had that song, The Summer Drones, on Paradise Gallows, and it's kind of, that song is definitely very doomy and stonery even. And it was the only music video, like proper music video we had for the entire record. And I think a lot of the times, like, promoters would just see that video and be like, oh, they're a stoner rock band. And then the next thing we know, we show up to a show and there's two of these just bland stoner rock bands playing. And it's just we just want to shove screwdrivers in our ears and,
Damn.
Run away, basically. Yeah.
It's
kind of just like, hey, there's more. Yeah, it's kind of just like, it is what it is. It's just, it's like, there's more to us than that, like, please.
And it's kind of like a failure on the promoters' part too, because they should be doing their homework. It's like,
yeah, but I mean,
they don't want to.
Promoters don't always do their homework. Hell, people who write for magazines and stuff don't even do their homework. Half the time. It just kind of is what it is.
Yeah, that's one thing I make sure of, man. Like, I cannot talk to somebody or, pretend to know anything about them if I haven't heard their music or what they've done. I'm not going to sit here and like bullshit to you,
Yeah, sure.
Because like it was funny too, because even before I tried getting you on, usually Relapse is really good about sending out the promos, and I hadn't got the promo yet, and I was like, fuck, I don't want to like talk to him without knowing what the record sounds like outside of those two singles you guys have released. So I had to email them and get it sent to me, and like luckily I've been jamming it like most of the week, so pretty familiar with it at this point, which is fucking badass. But yeah, I don't know, it's just I would hate to have to talk to somebody and not know like what you've done, you know what I mean?
Oh, people do it all the time. There was just an interview that came through, they couldn't even get the name of our new record right.
Oh my gosh. And
which was amazing,
because like you're taking time out of your day to do this, like you could be doing other things, and man, that's unfortunate. That's why I guess I feel good about actually giving a shit.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah.
So let's see here. So you guys wrote all the music over the course of a couple years, and for you lyrically, like, how do you kind of write stuff? Is it kind of as the songs come along, or are you more of a last minute guy? Like when you're in the studio, like what's your work process for this?
I come up with concepts and titles as they kind of come to me. Occasionally I'll have like a couple lines and things like that, and I'll every once in a while I'll have like a maybe half of the song or whatever, but I kind of wait to finish them until I'm in the studio, because I'm a great procrastinator. And like if we're in the studio, like we're staying, we record outside of Nashville, so we have to stay in an Airbnb, and just kind of like, okay, man, now it's crunch time, write these things. So I kind of put it all together, and just kind of just obsessively rewrite things and just make sure things make sense and make sure, you know, like the concept is cool and, you know, whatever. And also too, like the way that we write sometimes too, there's been a couple of instances where songs haven't been finished until the studio. So I really don't have a choice in that matter. Yeah.
So did that happen this time around as well? Like you guys are still working on stuff while you're recording?
A little bit. I know that that song Blood on the Lupines was finished in the studio, and I know that like Stillness was recorded a lot longer than it was.
Oh wow.
Originally. Yeah, so it was just kind of just like, okay, well, let's feel out like how long this song should be kind of deal. It's mostly just stuff like that.
So did you guys do any like pre-pro work at all, or like kind of did you just kind of like let it?
Yeah. You
did? Okay.
We do some instrumental demos here or there, and we send them to the guy Mikey, who's recorded our past 4 records now. You know, we send it to him so he gets an idea of what we're getting into or what he's going to be getting into. You know, like, okay, guys, you know, blah blah blah.
Yeah, because he's got a lot of work too, especially when you're kind of trying to, I guess for lack of a better term here, not, you know, change your sound, but not entirely change your sound. Mm-hmm. You know, he has to kind of like deal with that from a recording perspective, correct? And like figure out how to make you guys sound the best.
Yeah, and he just wants to know too, like, you know, what am I getting myself into here? You know, what are you guys planning on doing? You know, it's not like we're a grindcore band or something. We're going to go in there. He knows we're going to play a bunch of grind songs, you know? So
yeah.
Just kind of preparing him to, you know, mentally and for what shit show we're going to bring into his studio.
Well, I know for me, man, like your vocal style for sure has shifted quite a bit on this record. It's been there in other records, but just not as much as on this one with like your low end kind of vocals.
Yeah.
Is this something you've always kind of wanted to do personally? Like just do that low style all the way, or was it just something that kind of naturally took shape on this record?
I was in death metal bands as a kid when I was like younger.
Mm-hmm.
When it was like my late teens and early 20s, I was in death metal bands. So it's something I've been able to do. But in the last this last songwriting phase too, and, you know, every once in a while I kind of, on other records, I kind of let it come out. You know, there was parts where I was like, okay, this feels like it needs some lower kind of vocal or whatever. But on the newer material, I was like, oh man, this stuff is way more death metal-y. I can bring this, you know, I really want to bring this out again. So I kind of worked on it a little bit and just kind of threw it in when I thought it was, you know, necessary. Mm-hmm. I don't ever want to be one of those vocalists that only does one thing, especially with Inter Arma. I think it would just be ridiculous. The songs just have way too many. There's just too much going on. They're too long. There's, you know what I mean? Like if I could make my whole life a lot easier if I did one vocal style, but it would just be really fucking boring. You know, like, God, I couldn't imagine some of the songs with just one vocal thing going on the entire time. Ugh, it'd be terrible.
Yeah, because I mean, you've done some pretty long songs on this record, and it's, you know, if you were doing, like you were saying, just a straight death metal vocal on that song, I could see how it might be a little bit drony, but I don't know, it could work too, man. I think I don't know, it's hard to say, you know, without like you actually you know doing that, but I think either way, like what you've done on the record, I think it works really, really well.
Thanks. Yeah, I hope it works. I'm sure some people will be like, oh, I don't like that, and it's fine, whatever. So
you mentioned like coming up with themes and stuff like that for the record. What did you do for this one specifically that was different from Paradise Gallows?
A lot of the songs are super personal.
Okay.
There's a lot of songs on the record that I don't even really want to explain to anybody. You know, like, and then there were certain themes that I've never kind of explored before. There were some certain kind of political themes, and they're not too veiled anymore. Mm-hmm. I used to kind of, I've done things like that in the past, but they were definitely way more veiled. at first I was kind of weirded out. It's like, oh man, all these lyrics are personal, and this one's political. And, you know, I don't know, this is weird. And then I said, fuck it. I was like, no, this is the way it's going to be. It's going to be. So I don't care. Just let it ride, you know?
Yeah. So it seems like you're more of the school of like, let the listener kind of relate to the song however they can instead of like having it explained to them, correct?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, we're not a hardcore punk band.
Sure.
I'm not going to spell it out for you, you know?
Yeah.
Even though I love stuff like that. But it's like, yeah, to me, it's more of just like, you can take whatever you want out of it. I'm always kind of interested to hear what people's, you know, how people interpret songs anyways. It's always kind of funny to me, especially if it's like way off from like what my original intention was. You know, it's like, okay, that's cool. I don't know how you got that out of there, but it's really cool that you did. Yeah.
And I guess too, you know, when you're writing a lot more personal lyrics, man, like trying to be vulnerable like that without actually like telling people, you know, point blank what it's about has got to be at least a little bit cathartic on your end, because you've gotten that out there, you've got the song out there, and then like nobody ever has to know.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely songs like this on the record that no one has to know what it's about.
That's pretty cool.
Which is great.
Yeah, I mean, why not have that little bit of mystery there? Gives it a little bit more of a impact, I would say.
Yeah. There's always going to be some mystery with it, trust me.
So, I mean, even looking at the cover though too, it's like, you know, the Sulphur, you know, title, and it's got like the fire and everything. How much of that did you guys kind of plan out too? Because it's a fucking badass cover. I really like it.
So the cover dilemma, I'll call it a dilemma.
Okay.
It kind of went on for a while. Somebody was trying, you know, like we had an artist trying to come up with art, and it just wasn't working. It just wasn't vibing, you know?
Yeah.
And TJ found this picture on the internet somewhere. It's from like a journal, like a forestry journal or something. And he showed it to us, and we're like, that's awesome. That's great. And we wanted to use a photograph anyways, because we didn't want to have the artwork anything like Paradise Gallows at all. That thing was like, it's this beautiful painting. It's so colorful, and we did not want that this time around. We just wanted to have it different.
Yeah, it's very striking. I mean, even though it's a tree burning, it is kind of reminiscent of, you know, kind of a shitty comparison, but like, you know, the black metal kind of church burning imagery, you know, it's very, I think it's just something to do with flames. When you see something burning, man, it's very striking and very powerful, I think, even though it's just a tree.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool.
Yeah. I mean, I love the image. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm glad that he found it, you know, or else we still might not have artwork.
Oh my goodness. So you guys kind of had something before this too? It was just like, what, you weren't sold on it really?
Yeah, we just couldn't really agree. This has kind of been the lead up to the record. It's like we had a ongoing discussion about the artwork, about what we were going to call the record, and blah blah blah. And it just kind of went on and on. It took a while. I could tell Relapse was getting a little antsy about it, but you know, it worked itself out in the end. So,
well, I mean, it's a very important decision, man. I think you know, when you consider like the music within, and you have to have the package and cover that represents everything that's there sonically, you know, I think half-assing a cover is, you know, kind of shitty, but it happens.
No,
I mean, you can't really do anything about it.
It's suicide, really, to half-ass a cover. You know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of suicide, and it's, well, we were completely aware of that, you know. So I think that the cover for the record completely works, and I love it. It might be my favorite one that we've ever had, which is hilarious. Yeah.
But the name of the album, Sulphur English, like, it's a very odd term. You know, it like, I guess when you kind of take it at face value, you know, it's like speaking in sulfur, like sulfur is like a smell, I guess. Right?
Yeah, it stinks.
Yeah. So is that kind of
a
little bit of the theme of the record?
So Sulphur English was this I hated the song title at first, and it was a working title, and I tried forever to come up with something different.
Mm-hmm.
But TJ kind of like convinced me. It's like, no, this is a great title. It's unique. It's great. Blah blah blah. And I wasn't completely sold on it. And then he wanted to call the record that, and I was like, absolutely not. We're not calling the record that. But he just wouldn't cave. And after a while, it's just kind of like, okay, fine. And it's, and basically, like, Sulphur English is basically, it's just a way of saying like stinking rhetoric.
Mm.
And, I could have called it sulfur language or, sulfur diction or something like that, but it just didn't kind of roll off the tongue.
Yeah.
As well. And it's also spelled oddly too, because I don't know, I just kept looking at it and it's like, it's spelled the British way. There's the British and the U.S., the Americans spell sulfur differently, and it's spelled the British way, and I just think it aesthetically looked better.
Yeah, I noticed that too, and I was like, wait, this isn't how it's spelled here. But you're right, it does. It does look better.
Yeah. So that was just like something aesthetically, and it's just like, I don't know. It was just, it is a unique title. There's nothing else has been called that.
Yeah.
So it's like, it has grown on me definitely, but yeah, it's too. And I had this discussion with them one night. I think we were in Munich or something. We were sitting in a bar having this discussion again after a gig. And it's like, okay, fine. But like this song is overtly political. And there are going to be some people who don't like that. And there are going to be some people who, might want to stir up some shit about it.
Yeah.
Are you ready for that? Are you ready for that? And they were like, yep. And I was like, okay, fine. If you guys are ready for it, then I am too. So there it is, bam.
Well, I think that's very important, especially right now with how incredibly frustrating everything politically is. I mean, to kind of have that as a line in the ground or in the sand, from a song perspective, we need more of that. I think this is the one thing a lot of bands have kind of strayed away from, especially metal, is being more politically, I guess, influenced in their lyrics, speaking out a little bit more, or, I don't know, I guess that was what music was about for a long time, is like speaking out against all these things politically, and now it's kind of like became a caricature of itself in some aspects.
Yeah. I mean, if you feel comfortable doing it, then do it. If you don't, then don't, there's definitely like, I don't want to hear like Art Noir trying to do political songs. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, I don't think it's a necessity that every band has to do it.
Yeah.
But if you feel that way, then by all means go for it.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely don't think every band should do it, but I think the number has like definitely lessened. Like there aren't as many bands doing it as there once were. I feel like.
I feel too like some bands, especially older bands. Mm-hmm. They just don't. They're trying not to alienate maybe a dwindling fan base. You know what I'm saying?
That makes sense.
By having something, by having something that might potentially, piss off a couple people. And I personally don't care. So it's just, none of us really care.
Mm-hmm.
If we lose any fans, then so be it. If you're that caught up about it, then see ya, like whatever,
Yeah, I think that person has a lot more things they need to figure out than being angry at a band for a political song.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing about it too is like, unless you really sat down and read the lyrics and kind of dissected it, you probably wouldn't even know it's political anyways. But, I feel like a lot of those people, it might go over their head.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Either way, man, I it's good to have something to say lyrically, and Not that, again, kind of like you mentioned, not that every band has to write something so deep and meaningful. Like, you know, Cannibal Corpse can write songs about zombies and murder forever. That's fine.
Yeah.
But occasionally it is nice when a band kind of writes a little bit more personal, a little more politically, you know, just to kind of get that authenticity out there of like, hey, this is what we're trying to convey through our music. And I fucking love that aspect of music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did too. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously important to you guys too, because like you've definitely ingrained that into your songwriting, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I would feel really bad, you know, like writing a bunch of drivel, you know, just like some lackluster, you know, garbage, really. You know, like, I don't know. I would feel like I was shorting people. You know, and I'm only a singer too. Like I don't play guitar or anything. You know, it's like not like I'm playing guitar on the record. You know, I'm literally just singing or screaming or whatever you vocalizing, whatever you call it. You know? Like, I feel like I at least need to make the lyrics as good as I can make them. You know, again, I could probably relieve a lot of stress if I just went in there and sung a bunch of nonsense. But
well, as far as your writing. In your personal life, like what do you do to kind of stay up on your chops, so to speak? Is like when you're not writing lyrics, do you write other stuff? Do you read a lot of books? You know, because I know that's really important to always learning like vocabulary and, you know, ideas and stuff like that. Like do you do that in your personal life to kind of help you out?
Yeah, I read and I do write from time to time. The last year or so I probably haven't written enough, but yeah, I do have like a lot of times I'll just kind of sit and write for a little while or whatever. And that also helps me too kind of develop, you know, themes and things like that as well. So, you know, maybe I can, you know, maybe if I write something, I can take a cool line out of it and put it into a song later. So
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. It's like always experimenting basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I read a lot of poetry. It's kind of what I prefer. Mm-hmm. So, you know, like I'm always, especially when I'm preparing to like write lyrics again, I'll kind of go back and read things that, you know, I think that are classic, you know what I mean? And just kind of get my head back into the game, really.
What kind of stuff draws you in that you like reading?
I'm a big fan of like William Butler Yeats.
Okay.
Rilke, you know, things like that. Yeah, I mean, just kind of classic poetry, kind of like that. I like, you know, Paul Celan. I like a lot.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the old stuff myself, but I definitely enjoy hearing about like what, you know, like writers are interested in that kind of like influences them.
Yeah, I'm kind of real dorky like that. I kind of just like, I like a lot of like English lit and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lost art to it too, man, because, you know, we've kind of butchered the English language at this point in our lives, that it's, you know, a whole different language if you read stuff from like the 1900s or even farther back than that.
Yeah, definitely.
All this LOL, WTF kind of shortening of everything. It's just like, man, what have we done when we can't say a full sentence anymore?
Yeah, definitely. I do feel like that sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely.
That's one thing I'll tell myself is, you know, it's old as I'm getting, I'm never going to just start shortening my language. Like I'm always just going to type a full sentence out. Like, what have I got to lose?
Yeah, I'm definitely that way too. I'm too old to be playing with, you know, the whatever, the abbreviations of stuff like that. Yeah. A lot of times I'll see stuff like that on the internet or something, and I was like, what does that even mean? You know, like,
oh, I know.
It's something real simple, and then it's like, I find out later, like, wow, that's embarrassing. I didn't even know what that meant.
Yeah, I do the same thing all the time. There's all these abbreviations, and it's just like, well, I'll figure it out one day what it means, but for now, it's just WAIK whatever. You know, like, fuck it.
Yeah, exactly.
So kind of getting back to the record here, when you guys were ready to record, where did you record? How long did it take? Like, what was that process like for you guys?
So we recorded TJ's drums at this place called the Tracking Room.
Okay.
Which was built in the 90s. In the 90s, it was a state-of-the-art studio in Nashville, and it still kind of is. It still kind of is a state-of-the-art studio.
I live like an hour and a half away from Nashville. That's cool.
Oh, really? That's awesome. Yeah. So he recorded his drums in that room. Like Megadeth has recorded in there, stuff like that. I think the place was brand new in the 90s, and I think one of their first records they produced was that Shania Twain record that was a huge hit that everyone knew about. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so he got to record in this amazing like stone room that they record drums in. And then we did the rest of the record at Mikey's home studio, Dark Heart, which is in Madison, Tennessee, which is right outside of Nashville. So we did the rest of it there.
So you guys kind of like recorded everything yourself, like that aspect of it, like in your own like space?
What do you mean?
Like you said it was in like a home studio?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
No, well, it's Mikey's studio. He records out of his home.
Gotcha. Okay. That's what I thought you meant. And I was like, I just worded that wrong, I guess.
It's all good.
So is that like, I think, the thing I'm noticing a lot too, especially with like modern technology, is that it's so much easier to do recordings that way, that the use of an actual full, studio is kind of not warranted anymore, like unless you really, really need it. So does it feel better for you guys to just have that access to like a home studio and you can just go into this place that's a little more comfortable and do things that way?
Well, it's a studio. You know what I mean? Like he has all the mics and everything you could ever want. It's just in his home. So it's kind of, I don't know. It's definitely, it's not like a sterile kind of feeling. You know what I mean? It's just, we're there, he just happens to live here, too. So,
I see what you're saying now. So it's like set, like it is a studio. It's just in his house.
Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. I was thinking it was just like, you guys are just kind of drilling everything into a computer and doing it that way. I see what you're saying now. Okay.
No. Yeah. Cool. No, he's got like a, he's got a room in his house that he records all the guitars and stuff like that. So, they all get mic'd up properly and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long did it take for you guys to kind of get through everything as far as like each person's parts for recording?
I'm the slow one. TJ was done. TJ did all of his in one day.
Wow.
All the drums. A couple of days here and there for guitars and stuff like that, a couple of days maybe for the rhythms, a couple of days to get sound and things like that. Mm-hmm. I'm the slow one. I can't just go in there and scream 66 minutes worth of stuff in one night. I wish I could.
Well,
I can't. My voice gets fatigued and crap like that. So
yeah,
I mean, maybe going back to it, maybe if I just decided to do death metal vocals all the time, I could do it. But I can't. So I get fatigued. No,
that makes sense. I mean, you don't want to just blow your whole voice out, and trying to do it in one go. I definitely somebody recently, and they said that they did that. They did everything all in one take, and I was like, so like, how does your voice feel after that? And they're like, oh, yeah, it was a mistake. I definitely shouldn't have done that. And I was like, oh fuck, man. Like, yeah, I didn't say like, yeah, duh, but it was just like, oof, not smart.
Yeah, but I that's a big fear of mine. Like, it's like, I don't want to blow it out when I'm down there because then it's just a waste of time.
Yep.
Then I have to go back and then just further, it'll just further, put a damper on everything too. So I kind of like, do a couple hours a night, basically, see if I can get one song done, 2 songs done, things like that. Mm-hmm. Some nights I got 3 songs done. Some nights I got 0 songs done. Yeah.
Now what's...
It is what it is.
What's kind of the difference of that, where you're having to record a song versus playing your guys' set every night? Because I assume you guys play like 30, 45 minutes around there, right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. We don't do set lists.
Mm-hmm.
It's whatever TJ decides what he wants to play. Most of the time. Every now and then we'll before the show we'll kind of figure out a set list. But a lot of times it's just TJ just playing whatever he feels like.
So for you vocally, is a little bit more strain on you playing your set versus recording, or is it just fine?
It kind of depends. It really just kind of depends, honestly. Sometimes it's more of a strain, especially if I'm trying something more melodic and it's just, I'm just not hitting it, not hitting it right or whatever.
Yeah.
With us too live, sometimes, man, there's a lot of nights I can't hear myself, Oh,
I can imagine.
You're just in a subpar, just the PA, the PA is not working, or the
mix isn't right. Working. Yeah.
The monitors aren't working and stuff like that, and so then I'm kind of straining just to kind of I can't turn the switch off and just kind of I'm just trying to strain to hear myself just to make sure it sounds okay. Definitely not in the last couple of years or so, but in the last year, when we first started touring a lot, my voice was going out all the time.
Damn.
So I could just, it's gotten better. I've worked on it quite a bit. I warm up now and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I would think that, especially, having to do that every night for, upwards of a month, by the time you're done, you're just like, all right, I need a fucking break, man. I bet you don't even want to talk to people half the time.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah. The craziest thing is it does fatigue. There is fatigue, definitely. Mm-hmm. But then I think back and the first U.S. tour I ever did was with both bands that I sung for.
Oh, geez.
And both bands were playing 40 minutes a night. And I will never do that again in my life.
Yeah.
I can't believe I even got through that. Yeah.
That's fucking insane, man.
Yeah.
But I guess that's silly. That youthful ignorance, right?
Yeah, I was 27 and I could, just do whatever I wanted to, and didn't I didn't have to warm up, or anything. I just go out there and just do it. And it was fine, and now it's oh, I gotta run through some scales. I gotta do some jumping jacks, gotta go to bed,
I also wanted to comment too. That's really cool that you guys kind of have that ability to just kind of play whatever songs you want. You don't have to worry about, practicing beforehand. If he can just play a song and he can just play it. I think a lot of bands that I've known, they always have to practice their set list before they even go on tour to make sure they know the songs.
Oh, I mean, we practice, we practice twice a week still.
But he's still he knows everything, he's ready to go. If he just wants to play some random song.
Yep. And we have a relatively new bass player now, and with him I felt kind of not bad, but just damn, he's got to learn so many songs to have all these songs in the pocket all of the time. It's kind of funny.
I mean, that's it.
Not only do we so we there's still songs, we still play. Basically, we still play songs. We still can play songs from all of our records. Mm-hmm. There's definitely songs that we've cut off. We've cut out and things like that. So we're playing songs from 4 full lengths basically, and then we have a whole stable of covers and stuff like that that we can also kind of that in the past that we've also pulled out. So it's kind of I feel like it's an arduous task sometimes. I kind of watch him. He's been picking up great. So it's just kind of funny.
Yeah, that's a lot of shit. Nothing. Especially it's 4 records worth of stuff. My God.
Yeah, and I mean, from our first record, Sundown, we play 2 songs from it, maybe, you know, but there's still 2 songs, you know. So
I mean, it's got to be nice to be able to have that variety too, to where you can just play those songs. And I'm sure the listeners, like when they see you live, like knowing that they have the possibility of hearing stuff like that, and it's not really gonna, you know, deter you guys from playing it.
Yeah, sometimes it's like that, definitely. You know, sometimes there's people that just want to hear certain things.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, yeah. I don't want to take up any more of your time. I want to wrap up here a little bit, but you know, with this new record, man, I think the way you guys have kind of pushed everything into the next direction for the band is fucking awesome, for lack of a better, you know, term here, to put it bluntly.
Thank you.
So what's the thing that you're just most proud of with this record? You know, because you guys obviously put a lot of work into it, and it's going to be out here in about 2.5 weeks on the 19th, right?
It's
April 19th?
The 12th?
Oh, the 12th.
The 12th, I think.
Okay.
Is that? I think it's the 12th.
You might be right. Sometimes I have so many dates when things are supposed to come out. I'm just like, it's in April, the beginning of April.
Yeah, I think it's the 12th.
Okay. That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know for certain, though. My bad.
No, you're good. Don't worry. When I type this up, I'll know for sure what the date is.
Yeah. I probably should know, but I'm pretty sure it's the 12th.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it some more. Yeah. Yeah. Is there something I'm proud of about it? Is that what you asked? Sorry,
yeah,
I kind of got caught up in the fact that I didn't know the damn release date for this record. I'm kind of proud of the whole thing, to tell you the truth.
That's good. I mean,
I really dig the whole package now. It took a little while to grow on me, but I don't know. I'm proud of all of it, really.
I mean, the fact that you guys made this conscious decision to really like take this turn on this record, I think it's a nice juxtaposition to Paradise Gallows, and I think in ways they complement each other, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
From my perspective, and I really like that fact. Like, it's really cool to hear them back to back. Almost, it's just like, oh shit, this is the same band, but it couldn't sound any more different, and in a good way.
I think it's kind of funny too, because I feel like there was a contingent of people that thought that maybe we were going to do something a little more accessible. Mm-hmm. If you catch my drift, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I can see it. There are definitely moments on Paradise Gallows where you can hear that.
Yeah. Well, this band's kind of can take this trajectory, or this band can take this trajectory, and I think that kind of caught, not everyone obviously, but some people off guard. Like maybe they thought that we were going to, be more melodic, or, be prettier or something like that, which is a step that I feel like a lot of bands could take.
Yeah.
And we were just like, no, fuck this. Like we've been listening to a lot of Immolation, like the hell with it, like whatever.
I think it works though, man. It's still melodic. There are definitely melodic parts in this record for sure, but they're buried under the fucking heaviness and aggressiveness of it. It's fucking great.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, shit, Mike. Thanks so much for doing this, man. I really do appreciate it. It's fucking awesome of you to come on.
It's no problem, man.
Glad we got to talk about the record a little bit in your process.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you so much for talking.
Yeah, absolutely,
appreciate
man.
It.
Yeah. Be excellent to each other. And party on, dudes!